I mean, we all are now.
Yeah,
I've
true.
had a
We're all
crash
getting, we're all
course.
getting experts in it. That's true. Absolutely.
Right, I've got lots of questions for you.
Yes.
I know you've been running the Save Our Venues campaign.
Yep.
I feel like everything's ramped up a little bit more today with the open letter
Yep.
as well. So, can you explain to me how dire the situation actually is?
Very dire indeed. Without government intervention, we should expect that around about 90% of the entire grassroots music venue circuit in the UK will collapse. Just to be very clear what that means, the difference between this sector and other sectors is that 93% of our circuit are tenants, and they basically have a relationship with a landlord that allows them to run a grassroots music venue in that premises. However, in the event of them losing that tenancy because that business went down, it is extremely unlikely that anybody else will emerge to take over that tenancy. And it is much more likely that the landlords and the developers will take that opportunity to do what they've been doing for the last 20 years, the grassroots music venues, which is knocking them down to build flats. So it can't be more serious, I don't think. The question is, if we were to suffer that scale of loss, what is the possible opportunity of getting it back through any other mechanism in the future? And I'd have to be honest and say almost zero.
So I know you've managed to raise pretty well, quite a lot already, but that's a small kind of drop in the ocean when it comes to the amount that you need to save all these venues. And is it 819 that you kind of represent?
Yeah, correct. And then the actual money that they would need between 1st of July, so yesterday, and 30th of September would be £46 million. What that Save Our Venues campaign has done is we've managed to be very creative. We've worked very hard with the venues themselves, and we fought each individual case as it came along, where there was any threat of closure until now. We as an organisation can't do it for another 3 months. And the venues themselves can't do it for another 3 months. And more importantly, the artists and the public that have really donated to that campaign, the artists with their time, with shows, with merchandise, audiences who've been donating, it's out of the scope of what the public could do. It's too much. And not only that, but it's got some like key economic elements to it where you think, well, is it really appropriate for the public to do that? So actually of that 46 million, over 10 million of it would be going to landlords just to pay the rent.
And the open letter today, I know you've been involved with that as well. What's the purpose of it? What's it hoping to do to basically highlight what's needed?
Yeah, well, it takes our bit of campaigning broader. Ours is very specific about grassroots music venues, but on a broader base, it's not just us. We represent the buildings in which this takes place, and the organisations that run those buildings. Many of which actually these days are community interest companies. They're not even commercial businesses. About a third of our membership are not-for-profit entities. But beyond that, we have the sound engineers, the lighting engineers, the crew that come in and do a show, the artists that play there. Even at our level, on your average show, there are 27 other people working, trying to build up their fan base, putting on the show, everything else. So you got 27 people on each show. When you get to an arena level show, I believe I saw a chart the other day where it looked like 433 people working each show. That is a huge number. I think the number today they put out is over 200,000 jobs are reliant on this sector. £5.2 billion a year industry. I think it was 4.5 billion last year, 5.2 billion the year before. It's huge. And our point is, the reason we started campaigning quite so early is that all of that activity is built out of artist talent. And in order to get that artist talent, you have to have somewhere they can start. It's like dismantling the research and development arm of any major industry. It really is as simple as that. So it's It's got very deep repercussions. I think we can really easily describe what those repercussions are in 3 months' time, or even across the next year. But at our level, you've got to be looking at who's headlining Glastonbury in 10 years' time. If we don't produce them in the next year in these venues, where are they going to be produced? Because as you'll see from the signatories to that letter, it would be easier for me to tell you who in that letter did not form their career in a grassroots music venue than it would be for me to run you through the list. All of the biggest names, all of the knighted people in there. Starting Paul McCartney, the Cavern Club. Nick Mason was what was called, I think it was called Eves at the time in Covent Garden and turned into the Rock Garden. You know, I just look at who's on that list. Ed Sheeran, Steamboat Tavern in Ipswich. You know, it just goes on and on and on. And there's a reason for that. Artists need somewhere to put their foot on a stage for the first time. That's it. It's really not as complicated as everybody likes it to be.
I'm getting some bleepy bleep noises. Is someone?
I think that's. Let me turn my Let me turn this off. Hang on, I'm going to get rid of that.
Notifications off. Yeah, that would be great.
There we go.
So just to kind of recap that, without the bleepity bleep noises, who would we have missed out on if we never had grassroots music venues?
Paul McCartney, Cavern Club, Ed Sheeran at the Steamboat Tavern. Dua Lipa has played dozens of these venues. You know, I mean, it's not just the classic names that you think of. Adele played my venue in Tunbridge Wells, supported Jack Peñate for £50. You know, I mean, look how much that single artist has raised for the British economy, and the thousands of people who've got work out of that artist. And it's easy to think about the people working on the stage. So you can think about the bass player, and you can think maybe you can think about the lights. But when Adele plays a stadium show, there are hundreds of people working in security, working on the bar, working in merchandising, and it flows out from that. So you don't have anywhere for these artists, these major world-beating artists to start. That's going to ripple across the whole of the UK economy for decades, frankly.
As a music venue co-owner, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that make it even more painful.
Well, actually, it's weird for me. We're in the 7% of venues that we own the bricks and mortar. And that means that probably, although it would cost me thousands of pounds on a personal level, I can pretty much guarantee that the Tunbridge Wells Forum will return in some way or other. But I look round the sector and I realise, you know, the number of venues that have been there. I mean, you take the 100 Club. It's been in that family since 1964. The only reason it's still going is because it's been in that family since 1964. That's now a community interest company. It's a not-for-profit entity, still run by Jeff Horton, who is the grandson of the lady who took it over from it being a jazz club in 1964. I mean, I don't know how somewhere like the 100 Club survives without this government intervention. And even the newer ones, you look at Ben Lovett, who set up Amira. You know, Ben Lovett from Mumford and Sons set up Amira because he understood exactly how important grassroots music venues were. He tried to open another one, Lafayette. That opened literally, I think, 4 days before it went into lockdown. So he managed to get 4 or 5 shows maximum in. These people are pretty unusual, to be honest. People who want to run grassroots music venues are unusual now. You know, and they're increasingly run by passionate communities rather than just one individual. Places like the Exchange in Bristol, the Pub in Newport, those are community share companies. The community owns them, you know. I think we really have to. I mean, I hate getting caught up on the Adeles and the Coldplays and the Ed Sheerans, but that's the sort of language that perhaps government understands. But just as important is, last year, there were 175,000 plus performances in these venues. And they were performed by at least, as far as we know, at least 100,000 different musicians got to play in these venues across all the venues across the UK. Just think about that all going. I mean, it's an extraordinary, over 15 million people went to a small gig last year It's an extraordinary thing to risk losing, and especially when for government to step in and intervene on this makes absolute financial sense. Last year, these venues paid £52 million in VAT alone. Never mind the income tax, never mind the other income they generated, never mind any other impacts, just £52 million in VAT. That's it. It needs £46 million to stop them closing down. My suggestion is just don't take the money you got on VAT for last year and just go, this is a really good investment. If we invest this now, we can have our VAT next year and the year after and the year after that, while protecting a £5 billion industry. 0.1% of the industry.
Are they listening, do you think?
I believe they are, but until the deal is actually done and until something is put forward, we have to continue the pressure on government. And I almost wish I didn't have to do that, if I'm honest. I almost wish that there was, I know that government's working hard on this. I know that thing, but the problem is this is happening right now. Yesterday, the 1st of July, around about half of our rented venues received their new quarterly rent demand. And they have to make the decision right now as to whether to write to the landlord and say, I cannot pay this, with the full expectation that their tenancy will be ended, or to write to the landlord and say, I'm going to be able to pay this because the government is going to step in. And the urgency of that, I can't underestimate it. It makes so much financial sense. It makes so much sense for our communities. We understand how difficult it's been for government, and we really are grateful for how much input we've had, but we can't go on waiting. We can't go on waiting. It requires action right now.
That is brilliant. Everything you've said is brilliant.
Good.
So yeah, I'm really happy with all that. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, but I felt like that kind of covered every point that we needed.
On this particular topic, yeah, there's another emerging one, but we may get that sorted out before you even get to print something, which is yesterday when they jumped up and announced they were going to build.
Oh, yeah, with the landlords, yeah.
But with the landlords, if you tell landlords right at this moment, oh, by the way, you may not have to go through the planning process.
Yeah.
While you've got a tenant who can't afford to pay you, what do you think the landlords are doing?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, yeah, Sue was talking to me about that yesterday.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I don't think they mean it, by the way. I think it's one of those things, again, we call this the law of unintended consequences in our office.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a really good idea. I know, let's build. Great, okay. Just bear in mind what it is that you might want to build in. What does that mean? Or you want to build next to? Because we've been through this all before.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I think that's great.
Brilliant, excellent.
Should be talking to Ben Lovett later, actually, as well. So put that in.
Excellent. Tell him I said hi and tell him I hope he's well.
Yeah, I will do. All right.
Okay. Thanks.
I may contact you again for another interview further along the line.
Of course, no problem at all. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
No worries.
Thank you.